We have talked about an episode or two as a group on the show, and I kind of gotten to the point in my head where I was like, I'm really not interested in this. We're probably not going to have any more videos about this because I don't think any of us are really interested enough to watch it. And, we could hate watch something and talk about it and get a lot of clicks and views, but I was just kind of like, not worth it. But then, morbid, just bored, whatever. I hit play, watched it.
Is that the girl from Lord of the Rings?
What? Who? What?
Morbid?
Yeah, Morbid. Morbid Clark Curiosity is her full name. And her mom is Morbid Obesity. So, I watched it, and by the end of it, I looked back and was like, oh my God, I'm smiling. I'm laughing. And then I was thinking about it. And what I have realized is it's a very schizophrenic show.
Yeah.
The things that go on from one episode to the next, I think they have a large writing team, and maybe they let this powerful woman, strong female, take the lead on this episode, and then next time it's somebody else. It's something like that, because it's very schizophrenic. It is not consistent at all. But by the end of that episode, I wanted to watch it again. I really, really liked it. And even if it wasn't your cup of tea, I'll just say this. Sex in the City. You could hit play and I would not give a shit. I don't want to watch that. But I can acknowledge that it was a well-done show that had a lot of fans and a lot of people liked it. It did what it needed to do to be a very, very successful show. I don't give a fuck about Sex and the City, but they did a damn good job. You can't really argue that. It was successful as fuck.
Yeah, I actually have watched every episode of Sex and the City.
Really?
Well, it was when I was with Barb, and the deal was if I watched that with her, she would watch Battlestar Galactica with me. And we both got totally into one another's shows.
Okay, so I could talk about like being a fan of musicals and loving the sound of music, and people would laugh, but I'll fight you for that.
I didn't know you both like musicals.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah!
I thought that was a Rob thing. I didn't know that was a family thing.
No, that was the best part of the Hawkeye series.
Yeah.
I'm totally deleting this conversation out of our recording. But anyway, so, okay, Rob, you can appreciate what I was saying a little bit about Sex and City. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you have to acknowledge it was actually a competent, well-done show that had a shitload of fans and made a lot of money.
God, you're such a Samantha. Yeah, I suppose.
And the men that they had on the show often would kind of come out as a bit of caricatures in order for them to have a comedic moment or, a moment of levity. But like the She-Hulk swipey Tinder seeing these douchey guys on dates, there are only like 3 douches and then one like hot doctor dude. But that's in no way out of the norm for what they'd have on Sex and the City, I assume, right? I mean, having like that level of kind of like...
There was, of course, the army of cardboard cutout guys, but there were the secondary mains and stuff that, were their relationships. And, they developed real characters with that.
Not unheard of for them. When they needed a laugh, they would not hesitate to bring a New York douchebag in just to have like a laugh, right? There weren't armies of people on the internet poised to be like, oh, MSheU. There wasn't like an army of people waiting to leap on them using that little bitty plot device for comedic value, right? That wasn't a thing then. I mean, yeah. I'm sure if it was playing now, that would be happening. So I think with this show, I don't know, again, if they continue with the schizophrenia, they could just shit all over it next week. But it seemed to me, if they continue in this vein, I think they have hit their stride in doing what they wanted to do, in that it's a funny, quippy little sitcom. Nothing really affects the Marvel Universe all that big. It's a lot like the comic that everybody likes that it was based on, where they have one guy brought in one episode, wacky shit happens, nothing really changes or is affected. And then they, boom, next episode, not really that big of like a big life-altering change for the protagonist. They all kind of reset and go back to sitcom starting places. You could argue that it's a legal drama, but the legal stuff is shit. I would say Night Court. Go fucking watch Night Court. The legal stuff is goddamn stupid. It makes no sense. Yet they had it every episode because it was kind of the framework of which all the characters and the comedy occurred. But, the fucking legal
Night
shit
Court had a bit of a wackier base to it, though.
It did. But then again, this show's schizophrenic. So give it a week and maybe it'll...
That's true. This show doesn't know what kind of base it wants to have to it.
I do have a lot more to say and specific notes, but just with saying that, I like, and I know I'm going to get a lot, like, I'll get a lot of internet hate because even just watching the reaction to episode 4 that a lot of the people that I watch on YouTube have come out with, I think they're caught up in a certain amount of inertia where they're unable to actually give any given episode a fair reading. I think they're too tainted by what they've seen in the previous episodes.
Yeah, episode 3 I watched, even though you said, watch episode 4. I actually liked episode 3 better than 4.
Yeah, we liked it more.
Episode 3 was the first time watching that show that I laughed at something that wasn't my own commentary. Normally I, just can rip on a show and, really entertain myself doing that.
Ep.04, I have no recollection of. I did not pay attention. I did sit through it, and I do remember 4 dudes showing up, and I was like, oh, hey, look, it's the Wrecking Crew, and that's all I remember. So, okay, continue.
Yeah, that was kind of pathetic how lame the Wrecking Crew was. Everything they did just bounced off of her, but whatever. Once again, playing for comedic effect, I'm fine with that if they want to have, the just silly little confrontations like that. I did like when the one guy came up behind her and grabbed her, and she starts screaming and going, help! And then she's like, oh, wait, yeah. Just transforms. I thought that was a pretty good little moment. There were some funny bits to it. Nothing like super laugh out loud, but I cracked a smile a few times, which is more than the first 2 episodes accomplished, so good on them. Episode 4, I did really like. I didn't find it quite as funny, but I found the plot a lot tighter. Why? I mean, I realize once again it's a comedy, and they're not taking themselves too terribly seriously. But why does Wong explain to her that he serves a higher authority, and then he wants to sue in court? If you're serving a higher authority and don't answer to the American legal system, why are you here? Just go take your stuff back.
As you were thinking of that in your head, were you also kind of silently chastising yourself for applying that level of scrutiny to what we've already in our heads decided is kind of it's a sitcom show where the shit that happens doesn't really matter to the Marvel universe as a whole.
Yeah, but things on a sitcom can still make sense.
Yeah, and it's connected to the Marvel universe as a whole. So for other stuff we've seen happen in other, you can't turn that off,
So Kramer actually did put a garbage disposal in his shower, and that wasn't a problem. Like, what's beneath his shower? Isn't there like a hole there? Isn't there another apartment there? How do you get the electricity in there?
Because he's Kramer. He wacky hijinks are kind of his thing.
I have seen it leveled where people are kind of like, I'm on the attack of She-Hulk episode 4, but I am going to acknowledge that it was kind of good. But here's why: because Madison, her coming in, being all funny.
That was going to be my next point. Yes.
Drunk club girl does not a good show make. That is true. But I thought her being brought in,
best part of the whole show so far.
Doctor Strange, I don't give a fuck about. I didn't like it. I'll never watch it again. I only watched it one time. Doctor Strange 2, I think I watched it, but I was playing solitaire the whole time.
Dude,
I don't really give a fuck about.
I love
it's a pretty good movie
too.
Yeah.
Wong, I don't like. Wong's not good. I've never had any kind of connection with him as a character. I don't give a fuck about Wong. He's like a replacement for Doctor Strange, who's a guy who I don't really give a fuck about. But in this episode, when Wong was fucking dancing at the start of the goddamn Sopranos theme song, that was fucking hilarious. The way he was put out when Madison kept spoiling the Sopranos, that was fucking awesome.
I saw those jokes rolling down the bowling alley right at me there. I mean, I saw that coming from a mile away.
They made me like Wong. I don't consider him a likable character. Did you see the end roll where they had just them talking about, Long Island iced tea?
Yeah.
Yak milk. Yeah. Oh, so somebody could say, okay, fuck She-Hulk. It's a shitty show. Let's take these two and make a show out of them.
She just made the show. She was great.
Yeah, Madison with 2 N's and a Y, not where you think it is. She was just awesome. And I suspect there's going to be more with her. I really do. Mostly because she sold her soul to a demon to get back. And so she's probably got some sort of like infernal power within her, or she's going to bring about the apocalypse or something. Madison, the Doombringer.
It was like some kind of goat demon. And then if you watch the end credits, they actually show her doing that, like giving a drop of blood to a goat demon.
But she also arrived with a human heart in her hands.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
There's a lot going on with Madison, and I want to see more of her. Forget the She-Hulk. Let's have the Madison show.
I think it should be Madison and the Wonger together, because...
Wongers, can we get froyo?
No.
We can talk about the Sopranos.
Fine, no more spoilers.
Didn't that call back to 16 Candles, the Dogger? Every time I heard her say, like, Wong, the Wonger, I kept thinking of Getty Watanabe hanging upside down. Oh, what's happening? Hot stuff. Oh,
no more Yankee, my wanky.
Okay, to a point of Rob's in the past complaining about bad fourth wall breaking, bad monologuing. I thought this episode, it was natural and smooth and came off well. She did it a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end, and maybe like looked at the camera once or twice in between. But I thought it was cool. I mean, she said something about how, everybody likes Wong. That's like Twitter armor for the next week.
Yeah, that was,
That was clever. It was kind of funny and kind of timely and topical. I like that. That was funny.
It was 50-50 on it, I'd say.
And at the end, when she said bringing the A plot and the B plot together, when she just stuck her head in the screen, I thought that was well done too.
Yeah.
I thought they did a lot more of a competent job using the mechanic of fourth wall breaking, which, they have been clunky and shitty before, as Rob rightly pointed out. So I thought it was a lot better. So here's something that was kind of like laugh out loud hilarious. It was just so fucking clever and quick and not obvious, and it didn't pause for it or anything like that. But at the end, when the process server comes to drop the process on her, he's like, "Hey, I'm here with a package." Yeah. And she just says,
I recognize process server when I see one.
Ha, right.
Just that interaction real quick, she didn't even bat an eye. He's like, "Hey, I have a package for you." And he's just like, "I recognize a process server when I see one." And he just goes back. I thought that was so fucking clever. That was done just perfect. I thought that was wonderful. That made the whole damn show for me.